Is the People Mover returning back to Disneyland? There are some rumors, some fresh, hot, juicy rumors that came out today that might actually be a possibility. This is crazy. We're going to talk about it up next. Hey everybody, welcome aboard to another episode of OG55. In this video, we're going to talk about a brand new rumor right out the oven that the People Mover is rumored to make its glorious return to Disneyland. Crazy, crazy news. This is like the rumor to end all rumors, because this is something that fans have wanted for a very, very, very long time. And there is some credibility to this because of the source and because of just the overall chatter around the Tomorrowland situation that's been going on lately. But before we dive into all of this good stuff, I want to introduce the doctor. The doctor is in the house. Dr. Dre, host of Freshly Squeezed, Vash Guy. Welcome aboard, sir.
Oh, hey, I am happy to be here. Glad to be here. We're going to talk about something completely different. And then this news dropped. And it's like, we got to make some room here. We got to talk about this. And I do agree. This is something that fans have been dying for since the late 90s. So we definitely have to get into it on today's show. Anyway, before we get to that, though, if you want to follow me, you can go ahead and do so right down there at VashGuy, just like it's spelled. Type in the Twitter, and hey, you can have all the robust discussion that you want. I've been having lots of it. And if you want to see me, well, it's going to be on the channel you're watching right now at Orange Grove 55 at Freshly Squeezed, your source for juicy news and info squeezed fresh right from the Grove. And in commemoration for today's topic, I thought this was going to be appropriate.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, to all who come to this happy place,
welcome to Orange Grove 55.
Welcome to it. Let's get it.
Let's get it. Let's get it. That's a fantastic little start to the show. Let's talk about this fantastic rumor. All right. So this comes from, this is the sister site, actually, of WDWNT, which is DLNT, Disneyland News Today. So it says here, rumor. The People Mover will return to Disneyland as part of a Tomorrowland overhaul. Okay, I'm going to read a little bit of this to kind of set the table. Sure. But it says here, Tomorrowland at Disneyland Park is set to undergo a massive transformation over the next few years. We reported earlier, as well as Mice Chat, by the way. So it's both WDWNT and Mice Chat are both reporting on a new Tomorrowland.
Yep.
But they go on to say, we reported earlier on the possibility of a light-year overhaul of Space Mountain, and now we're turning our attention to another exciting aspect, the long-awaited, suspected, and demanded return of the Disneyland People Mover. Okay, now it says here, this is where it gets kind of interesting. It says here, the original People Mover at Disneyland closed in 1995, but large portions of the track remain in place from its time as the vessels for the ill-fated rocket rods from the 1998's New Tomorrowland. Since the rocket rod's failure, the track was abandoned, and portions were even removed from inside the attraction show buildings as the years went by. It says here, though, however, the new version of the classic is expected to use an entirely new ride system, unlike the tires that once propelled the Anaheim iteration or magnets, which are currently used in Magic Kingdom's 1975 entry. Yes. Not only will it be a different ride system, but the track length will be reportedly much shorter than the original layout provided. For example, the winding sections still standing above Autopia and the Finding Nemo submarine voyage are not expected to be used. The previously rumored light-year version of Space Mountain may end up on the chopping block due to the abysmal box office of the film it is based on, but we don't expect anything to derail plans to bring back the People Mover. Okay, well, first of all, the Lightyear Space Mountain can die and go away because we just do not want that.
And they even say that, yeah, right? It's like, it's unlikely to happen. It's like, yeah, you think that film's probably going to lose $100 million. No sense in losing $200 million by redoing Space Mountain.
Exactly. But the People Mover coming back is definitely a fan favorite. This is extremely, extremely interesting. First initial thoughts out the gate, Dre, about this rumor.
You know what? It's fascinating. What have we said on this show? What can Chapek do to indenture himself to fans? Well, it's getting on stage and saying, hey, you know that thing that you used to take up in the sky in Tomorrowland back in the 1990s and beyond and before? Well, guess what? It's coming back, baby. And you have this play. I mean, fans will go nuts. They go absolutely gangbusters. And this is exactly the move that I think would kind of have people reassess Chapek and what it's going to be like with him going forward right here. This is a great way to say, it's just one for the fans saying, hey, we're thinking about you. You know, we haven't lost sight of that, and here's a way we can both give you something that you want and make Tomorrowland something that people actually want to go to. Right. This is great. I mean, you know, I had kind of resigned myself a few years ago to the fact that, you know, we're never going to get the Peoplemover back. It's too costly. The amount of investment that it would take to actually bring it back, it just doesn't make sense. And you know, even back then I had theorized that it was probably going to be a different ride system, right? And it's just like all those things. It's like I just don't see it. It just doesn't make quite the sense to bring it back, even though there were Imagineers who were holding on to it, who didn't want to see it demolished, because I think they were still holding out hope that one day it would come back. And I was much less optimistic. I'll put it that way. But this right here, this is something big right here, and it's going to be really interesting to see how they facilitate this coming back. Like the article says, it's unlikely to use the tire propulsion system that they used back in 1967 at this point, right? And these, by the way, were reused from the 1964-65 World's Fair for Ford's Magic Skyway. The propulsion system for those 1964 Mustangs that they had on that pavilion or traction. That's where those motors came from originally. And that's also why the track length is the way it is because they utilized every single one of those motors that they brought back. And so they ran a room in Tomorrowland and started expanding out over the lagoon and other places. So obviously, and Magic Kingdom has had some problems with its propulsion technology as well. So they're unlikely to use that. It's going to be really, really fascinating, but this is a huge win.
Well, and it's interesting too. And the reason why, because we've heard tidbits over the years since 1995 of the Peoplemover making its return. The reason why I'm personally putting a little more credibility into this current rumor is because it doesn't exist in a bubble, so to speak.
Yes.
It's not like it came out of nowhere. Oh, the Peoplemover is coming back. We've been hearing stuff from both WDWNT, and as much as people don't like Tom, he still has reliable sources, and he's been right a lot. You don't have to like him, but you got to acknowledge the reality that he has been right on a lot of scoops. He just has. Yes. Mice Chat and Dusty Sage, they've also been reporting on a new Tomorrowland coming. This is all before today's Peoplemover rumor. There's obviously chatter and murmurs within Disney about doing a new Tomorrowland. We heard it even before the pandemic. This is happening. Now, that's why I'm very much sitting up and noticing when they talked about the Peoplemover, because we've had all these months and even years of hearing about a new Tomorrowland, and now on top of that, we're hearing about about the Peoplemover returning. It lends itself a little more credibility because this has been an ongoing story for years now about this new Tomorrowland coming for about 2 or 3 years now.
Right.
And I think there's something to this. I absolutely do. Also, you got to understand that Chapek is very much, he even said it as much, that he's a very customer focused guy. They're going to focus on the customer, what the customer wants. You cannot get more customer focused, more customer driven than bringing the fucking Peoplemover back to Disneyland. I mean, how much that out of anything that you could have done, that is the most customer driven decision you could ever make. Everybody 100%. Wants this thing to come back.
Everybody. And it even, I mean, I would say a good majority of like, kind of non-fans or normies, right? I think they would invite something like this as well. Because let's face it, I mean, the current tracks sitting up there empty are just an eyesore, if nothing else. So I think this would absolutely be something that would cater to both fans and for people who, want to experience a new Tomorrowland right here. This has got to be high up on the list here. And, it's interesting because if you go back and you saw that, Imagineering story kind of keyed us in that something was going to go on with Tomorrowland, right? Joe Rohde, there's that famous shot of him picking up the Carousel of Progress building and doing something with it. Who knows? There's been rumors that this has been percolating within the halls of WDI for some time here. And even, I believe it was Dusty, set a timeline of what the events actually were surrounding this whole thing. He was suggesting that, it was between Toontown or Tomorrowland. Looks like they were going to do Tomorrowland first up until events of 2020. Then that changed everything. They went with Toontown first, obviously as it's, relating to Mickey Minnie's Runaway Railway, and set Tomorrowland on the back burner. And I think even with those Tomorrowland plans back before the events of 2020, I think Peoplemover was, or some kind of solution to it was always on the table. It was always, part of this kind of grand plan that they have. Right. And, to hear that possibly could have been preserved. I think if you do something with the Peoplemover track, maybe put the Peoplemover back where it's supposed to be, maybe in a new form that maybe we don't expect, and maybe do some, how should I put this? Rework the exteriors a little bit. I think that alone would really present a kind of this new version of Tomorrowland that fans have really been craving. Because Tomorrowland is like the current iteration of it. It's not like super broken. It works in some cases. It just needs a unifying vision, right? It needs a unifying aesthetic to kind of bring it all together. And I think between that and bring the Peoplemover back, I think fans will be mostly satisfied with that, right? Maybe you can bring in a new attraction down the line here, but just as far as maybe a phased redo, which looks like this is what it's going to be. It looks like they may draw this out over a course of a number of years, maybe 3 to 5 years, something like that. But if they handle the aesthetics of Tomorrowland, if they handle some of the pieces that are kind of broken, which is the Peoplemover platform, right, the Astrojets up there, the Peoplemover track itself, maybe the Carousel of Progress building, I think fans would be mostly satisfied. Now, it's interesting. They say that they might, get rid of the extended portions of the Peoplemover track. What do you think they might do for the Peoplemover itself as it kind of mainly exists in Tomorrowland? Do you think they might reuse the Peoplemover track, or I'm sorry, not the Peoplemover track, but the Peoplemover loading platform? Do you think they might use the Carousel of Progress building? What are you thinking there, OG?
It's interesting. That's a fascinating point. It depends. There's so many question marks here because the Peoplemover. It depends on what, because they mentioned in the article that they don't even, like, we don't know what the ride system is even going to be. It's not going to be the old Peoplemover ride system, and it's not going to be Magic Kingdom. So it really depends on what the ride system is. It could be like a fast-moving thing for all we know, and then maybe the loading dock would be inside the Carousel of Progress. Maybe there's a whole show scene kind of thing in there that you go through and then you come outside. I really don't know. That's the interesting thing about this. I like the idea though that they're going to take that, according to the rumor at least, that they're going to remove the track over the Autopia and like the submarine lagoon, because I think that whole, like, as they call, like, the spaghetti bowl of like the monorail and the Peoplemover and all that stuff, it's kind of a mess. And it really locks Disney in terms of what they can possibly do for future stuff on that land. I think Autopia is wasted acreage. It really is. And I think just removing the Peoplemover track over that property alone will kind of free up some space for Disney to kind of get creative with that if they wanted to get rid of Autopia and build something else there. But I don't know. What I do hope, though, is I hope it isn't a coaster. I hope it isn't something fast. They tried that with the rocket rods. I'm kind of done with that. I really want like a chill ride you can get in and kind of tour Tomorrowland. If they want to like really lean into like the Tron aesthetics and have like the bioluminescence or whatever you call it on the vehicles, that would be really dope. I see a lot of fans on like social media already saying this is impossible. The fall protection, the safety protection, it can't be done. And that's nonsense. I really tune a lot of that out because I've been in this community for very, very long time. And I've heard this argument about things being impossible over and over and over again. I heard it was impossible to bring magic bands to California, yet they're doing it. They were just announced a couple of years ago they are bringing magic bands to California.
Allegedly. No, they had the infrastructure to do it. Yes,
but they did officially announce it, and we kept hearing that it was impossible because we just don't have the infrastructure. Well, they're bringing them. I heard it was impossible. You couldn't build backstage behind Disneyland because there's backstage back there, and Disneyland needs that property for that stuff. And well, Disneyland not only bulldozed the backstage area once with Galaxy's Edge, they did it again with Mickey and Minnie Runaway Railway. So the impossibility factor for me when it comes to like the fandom, I completely zone it out. If Disney wants to do something, they will do it. It's not impossible to make a people mover where people cannot climb out of it. You can make railing on the vehicles where it's impossible to climb out. You can create lap bars which secure people in place. You can have plexiglass. There's a million and one ways you can keep people from climbing out of a vehicle. They have Alice in Wonderland when you go out onto the ledge for a few seconds, like you literally hang over. For some reason that's okay in California. You know, you have Goofy Sky School, which you're like falling out of your vehicle constantly. That's okay. They could figure it out. Nothing is impossible. If they want to bring this back, they can actually absolutely find solutions to that fall protection. And I think they absolutely will. And I'm very encouraged by this rumor. I really, really am.
Yeah, I mean, there are some rides that are kind of grandfathered in. So, like Alice in Wonderland, even then they had to change the track configuration, like the the boundaries of it, just to kind of allow for fall protection. Like, but even then they solved that issue, right? They overcame that problem. I think with this, with Peoplemover, envelope protection, you know, if you can reach a hand at or whatever, that's where that applies. But if you can enclose this in some way, then you don't have to necessarily worry about that. There was actually an interesting, there was an interesting rumor I heard quite a few years ago, where it was like, well, what if you had everybody in kind of their own pods? And it was like, yes, you could do that, but you have to provide like air conditioning units for each one of them, like temperature control for each one of them, so people don't bake in the California sun, which is what keeps the monorail down in large portions of the summer during the hotter afternoon hours, is because that doesn't have an air conditioning unit in it. They can't run it because it's too hot inside. It's just a whole thing. I don't know if you have to go to that extreme, but I think there are ways you can overcome the envelope of protection problem while also bringing it back. And who's to say that it goes through buildings? I mean, it might not. It might be something that kind of hugs the side of them or so, and that would solve those problems too. There's a couple of ways they can go with this for sure. If I was kind of the accountant looking to do it the most fiscally responsible way, let's say, right? I might utilize that Carousel of Progress building, like you said, and make maybe even the top portions of it the load station, right? Right. That gets you elevated. There's enough space to do that. I think it already has an elevator built in. you go ahead and make the top of that either queue space or like you said, maybe a show scene or two, right, before it actually makes its way out and starts on its tour to Tomorrowland. If you do that, what happens to the old monorail? Peoplemover platform, right? Do we reuse that in some way? Do we reconfigure that? Do we even go down that far? There's a lot of ways this can go, but I think a lot of people would just be okay. I know I would be okay with just getting it back up there, no matter what kind of form it takes, because here's the interesting thing. I think they're going to build in some flexibility with this as well. I don't think what version that we're getting will be the permanent version, from here to infinitum. I know a lot of people might be sad about losing the kind of spaghetti bowl of stuff that we have on top of Autopia and the Submarine Voyage, but here's the thing. Here's the reality of it. Here, let me go ahead and share this with y'all. I think people have seen me bring this concept artwork before, but I want to go ahead and bring it to your attention again. This was the concept for the Atlantis attraction that they had that was going to take over the submarine voyage. Right now, it's it's Finding Nemo Submarine Voyage, right? And they really did little in terms of additions and so forth. But yeah, exactly. It's a great, big, beautiful tomorrow. Indeed, it is. Well, this is just kind of a concept of what they could do maybe in the future to better integrate or to better make use of this space where the Autopia and Submarine Voyage currently reside, integrated into Tomorrowland and kind of extend it out kind of thing. I'm not saying it's going to take this form, but if you look at this concept here, you can see like the monorail platform kind of winding in and out. I believe there might be a place where the Peoplemover exists here. I heard of an idea of, hey, couldn't we have the Autopia go through, these volcanoes and mountains and that kind of thing? Like, I think you can, whatever they end up going with that space north of Submarine Voyage, right, to the side of Matterhorn and Small World. Whether if it's Tomorrowland themed, if it's Fantasyland themed, maybe you have to do something a little bit different. But if it's Tomorrowland themed, you could extend whatever they do with the Peoplemover out and incorporate this space even further. So I'd say, hey, you know what? Whatever form it ends up taking, at least initially, might not be the form that we live with going forward here, depending on what they want to do with that upper region of the park there. I think they want maximum flexibility for what they do, and I think that might be incorporated into the design choices that we see initially.
Well, and keep in mind too, the original Peoplemover had a screen tunnel. That Tron portion of the Peoplemover was a screen tunnel. I can definitely see the desire and the interest from current Disney to have a Peoplemover, a slow-moving vehicle that rolls through Tomorrowland with various sections of the track with a screen tunnel where you can utilize your current synergy.
Yes.
And this isn't like Bald Man Bad, exclusive, right? I mean, Disney did this with the original Peoplemover. They were constantly updating it to update, to promote new movies and things like that.
Tron is the most famous example.
Right, exactly. So it's like I can definitely see them kind of, okay, this could potentially even be a marketing tool for us.
Yes.
And I know that a lot of fans are like, oh man, I don't know about that. Well, hey, if it brings back the Peoplemover and I got to sit through some Moon Knight tunnel, I'm good. I'll do it. I don't care. I mean, I really will. I don't care. I think it's worth it at the end of the day,
Oh yeah. And it goes beyond that too. I mean, you referenced before how you didn't want it to be a fast attraction. My thing is if you're going to shorten the track and everything like that, make it slower.
Right.
Kind of take your time through it. And yeah, you in that particular instance, you could have like, projection tunnels and all kinds of stuff that you want to do. Here, this concept artwork done by Scott Drake, who is a current Imagineer still working there. He just got done with Avengers Campus and DCA. Might have worked on Avengers Campus in Paris definitely did Cosmic Rewind. He's still a part of the team here. This is one of his concepts that he had. You could see this kind of Kuka arm kind of thing for the new Peoplemover vehicles and so forth. And those don't necessarily have to be fast. You can do some motion right there. You can kind of pivot people towards different areas, right? There's a lot of stuff here that you could do. Hell, even if you want, you could do this. We do have a new kind of Omni coaster technology over there in Cosmic Rewind, right?
Yep.
Now that doesn't necessarily have to be fast. You could lay down the track fairly easily. There's kind of a propulsion system you could use to kind of propel it through the various areas, right? And then later on, hey, let's say you do want to do like some kind of crazy coaster element on the north end of the park. Well, then you could, all right? You could shoot off from north of the park, have a coaster element, and then tie it right back into the previously existing track work that you laid down here in the next couple of years. That kind of thing. Like I think there are a lot of different technologies, a lot of different resources that Imagineers can pull from to actually facilitate this in a way that pleases us fans, maybe pleases the general audience, right? And provides some flexibility for not just for what they want to do now, but what they want to do in the future.
100%. And even if you're looking at this artwork, right? Like the loading platform, you see like there's like that glass kind of like dome over where you load.
Right.
We talked a lot about like the safety protection earlier on. You can utilize like that similar kind of design with the glass and extend that over all the track.
Maybe.
So the track, you're not closed in necessarily like in a dark tunnel. It's all glass and the sun comes through, but it's still like, covered by this like kind of like dome, this plexiglass or glass dome. And that would kind of solve a little bit of the fall protection issue as well. You extend that all the way through the length of the track, and that does help with that problem. There's so many solutions here that they can utilize. This is fantastic, by the way. This fountain where the water goes up to the astronauts, and I mean, this is incredible.
This is some good stuff, and these pieces of concept artwork have been commissioned. I mean, just this concept artwork alone, I think this goes back like at least 10 years. Like, this as we say in the NFL, right? This has been matriculating in the halls of WDI for quite some time. You can see right here, one of the concepts that looks like that they had for something was like a roller coaster or something like that. But again, like I said, you could provide for that in your Peoplemover design if integrated properly. I mean, there's all kinds of stuff they could do. It looks like they are doing some of this work. We saw some plants being added to the old grassy areas in front of Tomorrowland, right? Not quite what they originally promised us with the original iteration of the Tomorrowland entrance plaza that they showcased back in 2019. But okay, like, all right, it's okay. But I think there are signs that they're moving towards the Tomorrowland redo. I think for CapEx and cash flow issues, they might stretch that out into multiple phases, right? And not do it all at once, which I'm perfectly fine with. If you do it properly, you could do it right on, and that way you're not spending a large lump sum now. And it might end up being better if they do that kind of thing. So there's definitely potential here, man. Definitely potential.
Yeah, and I love the fountains in this art. And we're seeing Disney now has a lot of great technology since World of Color with LED lighting and being able to program fountains, right? To kind of, the color changing fountains and all that. I mean, the possibilities are endless with Tomorrowland. You put maybe 2 or 3 really great fountains in this land, and at night they light up, and you can program the lighting and the music to be all synchronized. And you can even have water jump from fountain to fountain, like Epcot, how they used to have those, right? You can even do that with all this gorgeous LED lighting. There's so much you can do with what the technology that they got now. Sky's the limit. I mean, even Toontown is getting an LED fountain show. I mean, they're even getting a little fountain show with the LEDs and stuff. So I think you can utilize a lot of this stuff. I think that, look, this is very promising. And I've been in the community a long time, and I've heard many, many, many people mover rumors through the years. This one, though, I take a little more seriously just because, like I said earlier on in the show, it's married with a lot of other Tomorrowland rumors that are kind of coming out. And it's not just from one person. It's not just from WDWNT. It's also coming from Mice Chat, right? That this is happening. That there are real talks at Disney to bring a new Tomorrowland to Disneyland, and not just happening, but like going to announce it at the expo in September. I don't know, guys. I mean, that combined with the fact that now we're hearing that the Peoplemover is possibly coming back, combined with the fact that we know Chapek is all about the customer, trying to make the customer happy. And what can you do for Disney fans in California that would make them more happy than a Peoplemover? I mean, it's just, the stars are kind of aligning right now. Now, look, I'm not going to sit here and completely be like, oh yeah, it's happening for sure, because you know, I'm not going to sit here a year from now and have to eat crow. There's always a possibility it's not going to happen, you know. But I think that the chances are very, very good that we're going to see some kind of Tomorrowland renovation, and a Peoplemover might be part of that renovation. I think the chances are very, very good right now.
I think they are the best they ever have been, because I think they've wanted to tackle the Tomorrowland situation for a while. I still have doubts about their cash flow problems, as we've illustrated on this show multiple times. But again, if you stretch it out and you do a little bit here, do a little bit there, do what you can with the budget you got, and you just kind of slowly, attack it, I think you could do something pretty well liked and beloved by the end of it. I think that is definitely a possibility. Go.
Well, I was going to say too, I mean, and this is like the world we live in, you know?
Yeah.
The days of like just a Peoplemover without an IP attached to it are long gone. So I hope fans don't get too married to the idea of like a Peoplemover returning without an IP attached. That I don't know will happen. I don't know. There might be an IP attached. It might be like a Stark Industries Peoplemover or something like that. Or Tron will be fine. I'd be down for that. Yeah, do Tron. I'm cool with that. Yeah. But I do think there is a high likelihood that there will be some IP attached. And if there isn't an IP attached, there might be some sort of synergy potential in the future, like I mentioned earlier, with the tunnels promoting future stuff. So maybe they'll go that route. I don't know, but we'll see. You know, we'll kind of have to play it by ear.
Could do Lightyear. No, I'm joking. I don't think that's here we go. What is it? It was you could do that. You could do that a little bit, right? Shots fired. I will say this, okay? This is very interesting. Isn't it interesting how we at first heard about the Lightyear overlay or redo on Space Mountain? Then when that movie tanks, now we're talking about Peoplemover.
Right.
Do you think maybe, Lightyear's death is the birth of Peoplemover because that money got shifted or something? It is a possibility. I'm not saying that's, it's even likely, but there is a possibility that happened. Look, I'll say this. If we save money by not doing Space Mountain and apply that throughout the land, I think we'd be much better off. In fact, all of the, and it's not to say that we won't get a new attraction someday. I mean, all of this could set up quite nicely for a new attraction down the line.
Right.
Do this for the next, 3, 4, maybe even 5 years, and then by the end of it, you now have a nice canvas in which you can actually add new attractions too. Maybe that takes the form of an Anaheim version of Tron or something else, right? Right. There's a lot of potential here. It's definitely got the gears turning in my head for sure. But yeah, I mean, as far as I wanted to just finish up here, the spaghetti bowl concept with the Peoplemover and stuff like that, is also, from what I understand, on the way for the monorail at a certain point. Right now, that's not a huge priority, whatever. But at a certain point, they might remove the spaghetti bowl kind of thing that happens when it comes to monorail as well. And the reason for that is it's transportation. Really, it should get you in there and back as efficiently as possible, right? The only reason that Spaghetti Bowl exists, similar to the Peoplemover, is because, well, when the monorail was its own attraction, they needed somewhere for it to go, right? They needed a course for it to run. Now it's traditionally thought of as transportation, even from the people running Disneyland Resort right now. It makes sense that they might make those adjustments to it, going forward there. And that's also the interesting thing too. We were talking about on the phone. One of the reasons why they might want to also get rid of that kind of Spaghetti Bowl for the Peoplemover, not just because of cost, but also because of maintenance, and not just maintenance from the track itself, but also the surrounding areas. Because anything that's on stage and is in sightline of guests has to be maintained to a certain standard. One of the reasons why the Skyway, the Fantasyland Tomorrowland Skyway, the gondolas, now we call it the Skyliner over there in Walt Disney World, right? The reason that was removed from Disneyland was because they had to maintain the rooftops from people's vantage points and so forth. When it's like, well, if we get rid of this, we don't have to make them show ready, as they say, right? For them being on stage. And I think a similar process might take place over the Finding Nemo submarine voyage and the Autopia and everything. You don't necessarily have to maintain them to an aesthetic. You can take that maintenance and apply it to other portions of the park where you need it most. So that might also be impacting that decision as well.
No, it makes sense. It makes sense. And that whole area, that Autopia, I'm so sorry. I know Dave from Fresh Bake loves Autopia, but Dave, brother, I'm so sorry, man. I just can't imagine this attraction lasting another 10, 15 years. There's just too much land there. Yeah. And if they get rid of that Spaghetti Bowl, monorail mess with the Peoplemover track and all that, they open up not only an expansion for Tomorrowland, but even Fantasyland. I mean, you can kind of even expand both of these lands into that area. And I think that's definitely a big desire for Disney down the road. It's wasted space because of that mess, going on with the tracks. So definitely think that's a possibility. And I'm very curious too, because, Tokyo Disneyland just announced a kind of Tronified version of their Space Mountain.
Yes, it did.
Right? So it seems like Disney... Or at least, well, I don't know. Tokyo is not really Disney. It's kind of like Disney adjacent in a lot of ways. But it seems like there's this kind of like desire to sort of like take the Tron concept from Shanghai and Florida and kind of apply it. And we're seeing that now with Space Mountain in Tokyo. Will that same concept kind of be reimagined and applied here in Anaheim, like we talked about? Maybe like a Tronified Peoplemover or something along those lines? I'd be so freaking down for something like that. I think it'd be beautiful. And you start that whole process in the loading area the Star Wars launch bay. You create a really indoor, kind of really immersive kind of queue area where you can really showcase the vehicles lit up in the dark and controlled lighting, all that cool stuff. You board in there, and then you take a grand circle tour around Tomorrowland. You go in the building, out the buildings. It would be gorgeous. It would be absolutely gorgeous. And then you really wouldn't even need the Autopia and submarine portions of the track, because you're going to have extra track in that building, I assume, So it'll still be a somewhat of a lengthy attraction, as most of it will probably be in that big building. I don't know. I'd be completely down for that. And again, this is all speculation. It's very possible we get to D23 Expo and they don't announce any of this shit.
Churros are coming back again. No,
we're getting magic happens. Yippee!
All right. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, that's exactly
But I hope. Oh man, from my lips to God's ears, please give us a new Tomorrowland, and please have it worth getting excited over. And I'm open. I'm completely open. As a fan, I'm open to all kinds of possibilities. If you want to do like a Stark Industries Peoplemover, you want to change how the ride vehicles move, I'm all good with that. Give us Imagineers, give us something really creative, really fun to kind of chew on. I am down. Just bring some kinetic energy back to Tomorrowland.
Yes. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And honestly, gonna have to bring up Splash Mountain again. This is the money. This is where that money should be going, right here, to places that need it, that need the investment, that aren't the demand or aren't the draws that they should be. Right. This is where that money should go. And unlike Splash Mountain, where you have to pay it all in one large sum, and to be honest, I just don't think the company's in the condition to do Splash Mountain properly. I mean, look, Tiana could be really well. Could be executed really well and could be an amazing attraction. And I look forward to seeing what they have to offer with this current version that they're working on right here. But I'll say this, I mean, I don't quite trust WDI. I don't,
Right.
Who knows what's going to happen to those audio animatronic characters. I'm hearing that a lot of them aren't going to be saved, that they're going to be booted out. You have Trader Carter working on it, which might lend itself to a lot of projection use and so forth, right? Like that, right? And the amount of money that the company might want to spend on that, I don't know. But here you could extend that out, right? You can have that the kind of cash flow that they want, parse it out over years, and we might have something really, really astounding about the end of this. And it's something desperately needed. Splash Mountain, they got the demand, man. Over here, we need it. We need something going on at Tomorrowland. It's been a wreck ever since 1998. And they've just kind of put lipstick on the pig, essentially, right? But that pig's still there. Man, we make some bacon out of that, man. Let's go. Let's do it here.
Let's do it. Yeah, no, I know. The money could be could be spent better. Definitely. Look, I understand a lot of the issues with Splash Mountain, but from a business perspective, Tomorrowland would be a much better use of funds. To say the least, you would get much more out of that. And look, Chapek is noticing that for sure, and Chapek, look, he wants to ingratiate himself with fans. I'm sure of it. I'm sure he wants to kind of improve his reputation, and for him to get on that D23 Expo stage and say the Peoplemover at Disneyland is coming back and have gorgeous artwork behind him and say, this is what we're going to do. I'm telling you, hey, look, you know what? I mean, even Bob Iger didn't do that, y'all. Even Bob Iger didn't do that. You know?
We lived through the whole Bob Iger admin, and what are we getting Tomorrowland? Not much. Well, we got Submarine Voyage. Okay, we'll put that on there. Well, go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, Sean ranking the mouse is right. We fucking brought up Iger again.
You know what? He is right. He is right. It's like, man, you always do this. And it's like, well, yeah, Sean, because he could have done something and he didn't. Okay, Sean? And now, Chapek. Bald man bad Chapek might actually do something about it. Now, how's them apples for you?
I'm telling you, man. If Chapek brings out the Peoplemover, I mean, he is the GOAT. Okay, he's the GOAT because we've been waiting for that for a long time. We went for that.
That's it, and we talked about it in this show for forever, right? It's like the one thing that he could do, to ingratiate himself with fans is bring back the Peoplemover. And we might live in a world where that might be a reality. That is wild.
Wild. Absolutely wild. I'm very, very excited. I'm going to link down below the article from Disneyland News Today, the sister site of WWNT. Check it out. Fascinating article. God, I hope that this happens. I really, really hope this happens. We'll see. Something is brewing, though, with Tomorrowland. There's a lot of chatter, a lot of murmur. Where there's smoke, there's usually fire. I think they'll more than likely, from what we're hearing, some announcement regarding Tomorrowland, whether the Peoplemover is included or not at the expo. I think that's kind of almost a given at this point. We'll see. We will see. Cautiously optimistic. But Dr. Dre, I want to thank you so much for coming on the show today. If you can let everybody at home know where they can find you on social media, sir.
Hey, best place to find me and interact with me is going to be right there at Vashkai. It's right down there for all of the, what Christine Wastelands McCarthy would say.
For all the robust discussion.
You can go ahead and do so right down there. And if you want to see me, well, it's going to be on the channel you're watching right now at Orange Grove 55 at Freshly Squeezed, your source for juicy news and info, squeezed fresh right from the Grove. Let's see. Should we play it again? We should play it again, right?
Let's play it again.
Play it again.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls,
To all who come to this happy place,
Welcome to Orange Grove 55.
I love it. I love it. I love it. And I hope we see the day when Chapek gets up on that stage and says,
The Peoplemover, your wish is my command.
That would be something right there. That'd be cool.
Come on, bald man. Come on. We want to go from bald man bad to bald man great.
Yeah, that's right. Make tomorrow. No, okay, all right. We'll keep it right there. We'll keep it right there. That's a little too much right there, sir. A little too much. But I look forward to it. I think it's going to be spectacular, and hopefully he grants us this wish. To cruise line wish. Okay. Synergy. Hopefully he grants us this one.
Absolutely. Thank you all for watching. It's been a blast talking Tomorrowland. Comment down below with your thoughts about the People Movers' possible glorious, triumphant return to Disneyland. What are your thoughts on this? This is something that Tomorrowland and Disneyland has been needing for so long. I would love to hear from everybody at home. Comment down below. We do appreciate every like, subscribe, share, review, everything, all the support. You guys are amazing. Thank you. And as always, have a wonderful, wonderful day.